Warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Criticless Cast Unhinged Live, which, like I said last time, now Unhinged is always live, which is the best way to take us. It's just raw dogging it. We're raw dogging it late tonight, too, because our movie started abnormally late, which is totally fine because this was a movie that all of us were quite excited about. Well, two of us were quite excited about. The other doesn't know anything ever, which tells you that Chris is back. Today, we are going to be talking about The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins and starring Theo James. I won't talk about anybody else that's in this film quite yet, but this is based off of a Stephen King short story, and some folks are calling this the best Stephen King adaptation ever, which is from the early buzz of this movie, which is why we were fairly excited about it. That and Matt and I are pretty big Stephen King fans, but this is going to be a fun episode for sure. And I mentioned in our Criticless Cast group on criticless.com that it is my special birthday episode as well. So maybe if we just drag this thing out long enough, we'll hit tomorrow. But yes, we're going to be talking about The Monkey. But before we do that, we are actually going to be touching in on some news per usual. We've got some stuff brewing on the James Bond front. We have a show that has been greenlit for a season 2 that I am very, very excited to talk about because it was one of our favorite films within Criticless for a while there last year. And then also I did want to touch in just a wee bit on the whole Blake Lively situation as well, and Ryan Reynolds and all that hubbub, because news just keeps dropping about all of that. So we will dig into that as well. But I am going to go ahead and introduce my co-host, but this time I'm going to introduce Mr. Chris Kaus first. What's up, buddy? Welcome back.
Hey, greetings, programs. It's nice to be back.
And you're like man-bunning it today or something. What's going on?
Got a little crunchy.
Are you like signaling? Is that what's going on now? Are you
signaling?
Yeah, you're signaling to all the other man bunners out there that you're
I'm bringing it back.
Loud and proud man bunning it.
Yes.
I think Blaine means you're switch hitting.
Yeah. Well, and the bigger thing here we need to discuss, it's been so long since you've been gone. How is it going with you and your mail order bride?
You know, we had a rough spot. Had her send her back.
Already. Did you like put her in a box and send her on an airplane like via the mail?
Yes.
Because everyone knows that that's how you get a mail order bride, is that they come in the mail, and then if you don't want one, you just slap a return mail label on their ass and ship them right back to where they came from.
Yeah, you got it. Nailed it.
Okay, so what did you do wrong this time is what I want to know.
What didn't I do wrong? That's the better question.
That is a good question. All right.
Yeah.
And also joining me today is Mr. Matthew Verlaque.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our show. It's getting spicy now that Chris is back.
Yeah.
I am the Spice Lord.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, we were kind of shuffling through what to talk about with the news. This has been like one of the most dull news weeks ever. If you notice, I did not drop a lot of news this week on our regular, Criticless Cast news segment stuff because there just hasn't really been anything. But there was a couple things this week. And I guess I did not mention earlier, we are also going to be talking about some stuff that we've been streaming of late, things that we've been watching just to kind of warm things up a little bit. Granted, I haven't been watching a whole lot simply because I'm on like in and out of live stream so much now. I'm just watching whatever movie I'm required to watch for whatever live stream I happen to be on.
I mean, that's what you're watching then. That's what you're watching.
Very true.
So it's not like you're not watching it. That you've already talked about it once.
That's true. I've just talked about it elsewhere. So we'll go ahead though and dig into the news, which I'm sure that Chris knows absolutely nothing about any of. So
I got it all down, Pat. I know what's going on.
You do?
I'm on the up and up.
All the things about the world. You're just totally on top of it. So first, why don't you tell us about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? I want to know everything that you know. What is happening? What are the deets?
Well,
facts.
What's going on with Justin Baldoni?
I mean, Justin. Oh, Justin. Me and Justin go way back.
Oh yeah, you do.
Oh wait, or maybe
no. I'd rather be connected with him. I would rather be connected with Justin at this point. Well, one thing so the reason that I don't even really, there's no way to dig into this story without spending like 10 hours because it's just getting like deeper and deeper and deeper. It came up actually on the Bro Science on Beardo's channel today where we were talking about it, and X-Wing just like had absolutely no idea about any of it. And it's one of those things where if you haven't been keeping up with it, one day missed and you could be totally lost as far as what's going on. We've talked about it on several shows, but essentially there's lawsuits going on with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds against this Justin Baldoni guy and about the whole movie that she was on. But the interesting thing is that now there's been a new advancements in the situation because basically Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, everyone's been waiting to see what they were going to essentially be suing on because they got crushed with PR basically from Justin Baldoni's team, and it was made to look really, really bad. And so they were like, hey, actually, we need to make some amendments to our case because our case is terrible and we're looking like real pieces of shit. And so basically, the reason I even wanted to mention it was that I've seen another article pop up. So there's one here on Deadline. It says, slamming Justin Baldoni's smoke and mirrors exercise. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, PR chief, wants out of It Ends With Us legal battle. So it's interesting. It sounds like basically the PR people for Blake and Ryan are even wanting to get away from this thing because the two of them are looking so bad at this point.
Yeah, and almost it seems like to me where it's one of those things where they know this is gonna be a drawn out battle,
right?
And it's not going to end well for any of them, honestly,
right?
Because PR teams are machines. Like they will attack even an innocent person and tear them to pieces. And you can't say Blake Lively doesn't, and Ryan Reynolds obviously have a ton of money,
like billionaires almost at this point. So
so they can afford the best PR teams, the most slanderous ones, dirtiest ones you can get. Pull him through the mud, because that's how it started. Like it was like, oh man, Blake Lively was wronged, and then as this has progressed, a lot of people are starting to change their tones, and it's kind of going the other way. From what I've seen, I do not follow this rigorously, but
I would advise go just check out like Candace Owens stuff if you want to really keep up with it, because she is like on the front lines to the point in which like Baldoni's lawyer is literally referencing stuff that she has dug up because it has gotten so absurd and ridiculous. So this article and this headline kind of jumped out at me because whether it be Deadline or any of these sites like this, they've all kind of been standing behind Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively because their PR team's so strong. And it's starting to look so bad that the narrative is finally, even with the media, they're having to be like, we're going to back off this and maybe not stand behind these guys because they're looking real guilty. So the interesting thing, though, was earlier in the week, supposedly 2 cast members from the movie that they were on they're claiming that they will go to bat for Ryan and Blake, these 2 actresses, but they're not naming who, but like everyone pretty much knows who they are at this point. But it's an interesting thing that they've gotten 2 people to stand with them because of how bad they're looking. And I'm wondering if this is a whole like veiled threat kind of scenario where basically they're like, we just want you to say that you're going to stand with us. If we do that, then maybe he'll back down and he'll stop trying to countersue us, basically.
I mean, I'm sure it is, and they've got deep pockets, and they're well connected in Hollywood. So it's probably one of those things where like, hey, we're going to further your career. It's a he said, she said for the most part with some text and stuff. So there's some physical proof, but there's plenty of he said, she said stuff going on. So you get more people on your side on a he said, she said case, then it tilts in your favor. And then they're just going to spin it however they want. And as we know, like we were talking about what was his Army Hammer? Like he did all of his stuff, poof, disappeared for a couple of years, and now he's back. Like it will be the same for them. It'll become this thing where it becomes so big that we're all thinking about it. Then all of a sudden they'll stop talking about it. A couple years down the road, they'll pop back up on the radar.
If it's dropped, I would say that. But similar to like the whole thing with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, where Amber Heard has had to disappear and Johnny Depp is on the way back because they did take it to court and he made her look really bad and she like took a shit on his pillow and all that stuff and gained the nickname Amber Turd. And so, the thing is in these types of scenarios, the problem is once you go to court, all the dirty laundry comes out. All the text messages, all the things about Ryan and Blake contacting Taylor Swift to come and bully Justin Baldoni into controlling his movie. All of that stuff comes out. So it's going to be real hairy. I honestly hope this thing goes to court because it's already been a shit show and I want to watch the dumpster burn. So
heck yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if the media shifts their narrative because basically that was my whole thing, is that they seem to have been up till now rallying behind Ryan and Blake, and I think that they're pulling back a little bit. So maybe their PR team has lost a little bit of the control over the scenario. So
Well,
yeah.
I guess we'll see.
But on to the next piece of news here is that I don't know if you guys heard about this,
What's
but
that?
basically a while back, Amazon essentially got some level of rights to James Bond. And because Amazon owns MGM and MGM got the rights with
Okay.
them, it's kind of this whole incestuous thing going on. I don't even know.
Yep.
So, but basically the big news that came out is that Amazon MGM Studios shelled out an extra $1 billion, yes, with a B,
Jesus.
plus, so not even just $1 billion, to take control of James Bond for what's and this is about what's next in the franchise and kind of what they're digging into. So essentially what happened is that, like, well, I'm better off just reading it because I'll get in the weeds here. But so it says it's taking around $1 billion to have 007 stewards Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson Seed create oversight of their family's stored James Bond franchise to Amazon MGM Studios. So basically, they are the people that originally owned it and were kind of shepherding this thing, and then they got it from Amazon. So it says Amazon originally overpaid on its purchase to MGM in a deal orchestrated by then MGM board chair. Though valued between 3.5 to 4 billion, the legendary motion picture studio was absorbed by the streamer for $8.5 billion. Yeah.
Wow. A streamer.
The hefty sum propped up by the potential access of the 007 franchise. However, Amazon couldn't freely develop Bond with Broccoli and Wilson in the mix. Hence, it took another $1 billion to ensure that they could fully steer and exploit the Ian Fleming IP. So essentially, they shelled out an extra $1 billion just to basically push the original owners out of the way so that they didn't have to listen to the original owners of the Ian Fleming back catalog.
It's like almost 10 billion total.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
And
I guess you get all of the rights for the previous movies.
Yes, they'll have all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll make. I don't think they're gonna make their money back.
No.
Not in this
Even-
decade.
No. Even with a reboot. And I assume they did that because the Daniel Craig fiasco. Because I mean that was the worst Bond.
Yeah,
franchise.
He has been the worst received Bond, especially with how they took him out of the series. That movie is, I think, one of the most divisive and probably most hated amongst many of the fans because of how they did it and handled the sending off of this Bond. And even just his entire run, the only movie that is really heralded as like the great Bond movie of his bundle was Casino Royale, the very first one.
Yeah.
So this is wild.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like money laundering.
Right.
Or the 100-year plan.
Right.
Taking back on that, because I don't think there's any way a single movie will make money on that, or even like 4 or 5 movies.
Right.
They would have to be hits. They're going to have to do really well. They're going to have to prove themselves. And I just don't know. I mean, maybe it's a 20-year plan.
Maybe
that's all I got.
But the thing is too is we've seen how mismanaged Amazon has handled things, where now Amazon owns the rights to at least a chunk of Lord of the Rings stuff. That show has not been very well received, to say the least. And then now they have Bond, and everybody is worried that we're going to get another Rings of Power scenario where we're going to get like some freaking female Bond bullshit or some neutered version of the character that no one likes or wants because it's overly PC or whatever. Maybe with the current cultural shift and people just very much vocalizing being over the political correctness of how things have been, there might be a shift, but I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're definitely not going to make their money back anytime soon. Probably ever. They're probably just going to end up selling it to Disney or something and like lose $5 billion and just be like, well, all right, well, we tried, you know. I really just want to see the two of them fight. Like if there could be a cage fight for Disney and
celebrity deathmatch version.
Let Bezos fight somebody. And the winner takes over all IPs. We'll just call it today.
Right. The megacorp will run us all.
Yeah.
And this is just wild. I can't believe it. And I mean, hey, whatever, Amazon. You want to spend, y'all got more money than God, I guess. So whatever. You're just going to keep pissing your money away. So
I have on me. With the money, I mean.
Piss on you with the money.
I think you can go.
Like
I
10
think you can
billion.
go to Dubai for something like that.
Like, I'll let-
for
Yeah.
10 billion, would you let Bezos piss on you? I mean, that's the question. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know no shame when it comes to that amount of money. Okay.
Right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and honestly, the thing I was most excited about, is the fact that we officially are getting Jury Duty Season 2.
What?
Now, if you did not see Jury Duty, first and foremost, what the fuck, bruh? Like, go do that
Dude.
right after you finish watching us. Go watch Jury Duty. It was one of the best shows. When did it come out? Last year?
2021, I think, or 2022. It's
Okay.
older. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it was at the very beginning of Criticless was when it was kind of happening.
So that would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in that ballpark. Oh, well, I was going to try and pull it up on Criticless because back when it came out, a lot of people were reviewing it, and if I'm not mistaken, we probably have almost excellence. I think at least back at the time that it came out. So
yeah.
the original release was 2023. So
Okay.
technically, so this is on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. It actually starred James Marsden, and he played himself in this show. And essentially, the thought process behind the show and how it worked was that an entire jury was set up. One of the people in the jury was James Marsden playing himself, and then everyone else was actors except for one individual on the entire show. Only one person was a real human, and the whole goal of the show was to see how one real person would react to an extraordinarily absurd court case, and also an absurd like jury and everything surrounding it, and like what the person would do in response. So one guy was not on the joke. It was literally done, I think, through like a Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
And the show's fascinating. It was one of the best things I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
Chris,
Yo.
Have you seen this?
Never heard of it. Literally.
I thought so. He kept giving me like eyes, like
Like Matt and Xena have the two lowest scores in the app.
yeah.
Unsurprisingly, they're notorious for their terrible tastes. So that does make sense.
My review explains itself, people. I'm fairly certain. I don't remember, but I'm fairly certain it explains itself.
All other reviews were most excellence. Mine was a 91, and all the others are fairly high as well, between like mid 80s and up. So
Yeah.
this show was really loved. It did very well. This guy was a social phenomenon for a little while after the show. Apparently, like all the cast stayed friends with this guy. He did not realize that he was hanging around actors and celebrities and different things.
Featured spirit, sounds like.
Yeah. It seemed very interesting, and the guy kind of was definitely absorbing his fame for a little bit there.
So my question is, how do you think they're going to do season 2? Because I mean, not everybody's seen this. Like Chris hasn't seen it or even heard of it. So there are people out there who've never heard of this. So are they just going to do this exact same formula, try to find somebody who's completely no idea what this is,
Right.
and just do it again? Jay Marsden and all, because he was part of the best.
Yeah, he won't be back.
Yeah.
He won't. I'm guessing they'll get possibly another actor.
It's gonna be Kevin Hart.
I freaking
It's a
hope not.
little too easy to pick out of a crowd.
Well, no. Well, that's the actor. Like James Marsden played himself. Like
Yeah.
that was the joke.
Yeah.
He was bitching and moaning about getting called to jury duty, and like there was a lot of inside jokes about like
Gotcha.
people being excited that he was famous and on this jury, and how he got hung up and caught in it, and how he wasn't going to get to act in movies because he was stuck in jury duty. And the concept was fantastic. And so, like I said, definitely watch it if you hadn't. I love the show, and my wife is pouring her praise in the chat as well, which is something we haven't done yet. And I guess we should go ahead and shout out everybody in the chat. Thanks for showing up, guys. Jared Barnes is in here. What's up, buddy? Faith Thomas, thank you for the early happy birthday. Miss Criticless, as always, is in here. Cave Titties, Mr. Caveat Ties, he is back once again. Hey, buddy. And is there anyone I missed, Matt, now that I have access to the
yeah, dude.
Joan Lovelace is in here as well. How are you doing? And yeah, we're totally getting used to this whole live streaming thing as well. It's been fun. And Chris, did you hear while you were gone, we got monetized? Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I know. Yeah.
What idiot did that?
Right. Seriously. Yeah. We can do
cool.
super chats and all that stuff. We need to figure out how to set up like memberships and everything. But yeah, so welcome. Oh, and I missed Doyle status.
Yeah, Doyle status.
How does that status? How do you say that, Chris? How would you
It depends on the
pronunciate?
context,
Is it a tomato or a tomato?
Well, it's definitely, well, if you're from England, it would be a tomato.
Oh, well, yeah. But I mean,
tomato.
But we're in the South.
Aluminium.
So speaking of, so my wife has been harassing me thoroughly lately because of how I say there are 2 days in the week. All right.
No.
No, there's 7.
No. There's 2 specific days. Shut the fuck. There are 2 very specific days
Okay.
that start with a T.
Sure.
I would like
Sure.
for you both to say the names of those T days.
Chris, you can go first. with
Okay,
this.
sure.
Okay.
This
Tuesday,
Uh-huh.
Thursday.
Okay, Matt.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay, so I get harassed because
Mhm.
apparently when I say Tuesday,
I knew it was coming.
I screwed myself for that so hard.
I was trying not to say Tuesday, and I still said
Well, look, see,
Tuesday.
if you say it fast, if you don't think about it too much, it's
Is
not
it-
like you have
oh,
a stutter.
wait,
Whenever
wait.
you just
You're
fuck
saying
up
Tuesday.
Tuesday. She says I say it like a Brit, like
do.
and
Yeah.
so
Your
I
turncoat.
Okay.
yeah,
Ah.
apparently. Which I mean, so says my DNA test. I'm apparently like 100% British. So
Bro,
it's
same.
like,
I'm
Yeah.
white bread.
yeah, oh yeah,
Like
for real.
straight up a slice
Yeah.
of white bread.
Just
Yeah.
a whole ass saltine cracker.
Yup.
So yeah, that is me as well.
Minus
And
salt.
everyone knows that Chris is a Mexican.
Hola.
So they don't know why he came out this way. His parents are as white as we are.
Yeah, they all have blue eyes, blonde hair.
Yeah.
All of my
What's the
nephews.
mailman look like again?
Which one? Yeah.
Hey, and your parents were missionaries. So
True.
just
They
saying,
were.
maybe that really
The first days of my life were spent in Haiti. So, yes.
Maybe this is really where it's all boiled
Maybe
down.
I was born.
Maybe.
Mm.
Maybe. No one knows the mystery of Chris's origin. Just
Yep.
don't take a DNA test. It might break your
Oh,
soul.
God, no.
I mean,
them.
that's the best part about DNA tests is when everything gets boiled out because that's
Yeah.
what happened to my family. It was great.
I'm just a tan white person. That's all.
Sure.
So apparently, Xena Winefiend's grandmother also says it that way. So maybe,
Yeah.
kindred spirits. I think it's got to be some kind of weird Southern thing, I'm guessing.
yeah.
But, well, because they say that, and we've talked about this elsewhere, but supposedly Southern accents are the closest to traditional British accents. So
That's not
If
what
you
I've
want to
heard.
believe Jeremy.
yeah, if you want to believe it.
This came from our Australian
Right,
friend.
right.
I miss good movies.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, recently, so I have. Oh, and I can actually talk about a show that I did watch. I did see one thing.
There
new.
we are.
But yes, so that is a perfect transition. What we're going to go ahead and do is talk about what we have been watching lately, the things we have been streaming, and I am going to try.
Hold on.
Yes.
Or something.
What do you guys think of that?
Yeah.
I know Chris was like totally shocked, had no idea what was happening.
Theme music?
Yeah,
on
so we've got bumpers now. We've talked
Yeah.
about them for quite literally years.
bumper cars.
And not bumper cars, bumper bumpers. Baby bumper bumpers.
yeah.
Those.
Baby bunker buggy. I'm gonna say something.
Bumpers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
those.
Bugger bumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have bumpers in between the shows now. So this is the things that we have seen. And if you notice, Matt, he spelled weave properly with a apostrophe. He fought me
You don't
dearly.
need an apostrophe. It's weave. You don't need an apostrophe
Oh,
for
like we
W-E-V-E.
have.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about like weave,
Everyone will read that as
hair.
weave. You don't need an apostrophe.
Matt doesn't believe.
If you know English.
You're right. Well, Matt does not English well.
English is a made up language like all the other languages, so it
I'm
doesn't
very-
matter.
It's very
Look,
true.
I'm backing you up on this one.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to fit it. You need to fix weave. And he was like, what do you mean? He
I
was
was
like,
like, no, you don't. That's fine.
he was like, there's nothing wrong with it. I was like, but Matt, there is. It needs an apostrophe. He goes, no, it doesn't. I was like, all right, buddy. So yes, this is what we have been watching lately. So Chris, you've been
Yeah.
gone for a millennia,
Mhm.
boning foreign women or
Mhm.
whatever it is that
Yes.
you do in your
Mhm.
spare time.
Mhm.
So have you watched anything of late?
I have. Yeah. I've watched a few things. But I think the most recent thing I actually watched 3 episodes today. I was just kind of catching up. I didn't realize that Severance season 2 had come out.
Oh,
and just got caught up on it.
I know I haven't watched any yet, man. I'm so ready to get back. Yeah. So how is it?
It's great. I mean, I love the show. It's such a mind fuck, and I love just trying to figure out what they're going for and figure everything out. Still have no clue because I'm a dumbass, but it's enjoyable and it keeps you wanting more. So like every episode, as soon as it ends, I'm just like, all right, when's the next one? Now I have to wait apparently till
Right.
tomorrow.
no.
But it's great.
Real
I've been
bummer.
debating on going back and watching season 1. So if you don't know, Severance is a show that is actually on Apple TV Plus, I think is what they
I
call
think
it.
it's just Apple TV, isn't it?
I don't know. They have a plus on their
Yeah.
logo on Criticless here, but it is this show stars a whole lot of people. Adam Scott being the star of the show, though, and a lot of other people pop in and out. But this show is sitting at an 87% currently on Criticless. So now that's by 16 people, not a ton of folks, but everybody seems to like this fairly well. It is a kind of slow burn mystery, weird, and the big thing is that it's created and I think directed by Ben Stiller.
I don't know that he created it, at least not in season 2. He's not credited as the creator, but he is the director, producer, executive producer, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And they kind of bring in, it's one of those things where they bring in guest writers, it seems like, or there can be different writers for each episode.
Different episode, and probably different directors. A lot of TV shows are like that. Right. So, yeah.
He is the focal point. I feel like he had a lot to do with the actual creation of the show.
Yeah, I think so too. It's it's considered like his baby. But this show is pretty well praised. It's very weird. The whole concept is essentially that you have a job self and a home self in this world, or at least in the company that these people work for. And essentially, when you get into the elevator and get into the office, your brain turns into another version of yourself that is unaware of the version of you that lives outside of the company.
Yeah. It's a very like communist propaganda built around that. At least that's what the company seems like. It's very brainwash people into believing there's this almighty Kiev. I can't remember his name exactly, but yeah.
There's a almost like a ruler of this company that is borderline worshipped.
Yeah.
Overlord. Right. Matt, have you watched any of Severance?
No. Zeno watched it without me.
Yeah.
Like I was in the office or something, and she just kind of started watching without me, and she would just be like, man, this show is really freaking heavy.
I could see you not.
And I was just like, ugh, that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's probably
so. And she was like, "You want to wait for it?" I'm like, no, you can go ahead and watch it without me. And I've heard a lot of praise, like you were saying. Like a lot of people have just been like, "Oh, this is a great show.
Yeah,
it's so cool. It's such a cool concept."
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just like, oh, maybe one day when I'm really feeling my feels, I might start.
Well, it's not like a sad show. It's just dark.
It's yeah. I think dark is a good way to put it for sure. It deals with dark circumstances. That's generally why people join this severed program to escape, because obviously it's kind of like you're just going to sleep, right?
Right. So and you don't have to live out your workday, supposedly.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, the concept's cool. It's like you wake up, you can do your morning routine, you switch off, you switch back on, you get to live your afternoon life.
Right. Yep.
And then just copy and repeat. I mean, I guess. I used to be a drone at a bank, so I understand, but like I don't know. I don't know.
It's an interesting show, so I'm glad you're picking it back up and liking it.
So I'm caught up now. Just wait until tomorrow. Well, maybe it depends on if the not Apple site that I watch it on
gets cracked down on recently. Yeah, well, hence his hair and the top knot. Obviously, he sails the 7 seas. Yarg. So So earlier, I do want to touch back in. So I mentioned a show that I was watching, and I was going to make a statement about something else, and then I segmented us or whatever, transitioned us into this segment. So what I was going to talk about is the show White Lotus. Now, there have been 2 seasons currently of White Lotus, and if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. I think the show is freaking awesome. It is quite literally, I think, my wife's favorite show, possibly. This show has had 2 seasons on HBO, and they just released the very first episode of season 3. And so this show is a semi-anthology, being that every season takes place in a different location with different characters, but some characters do carry over from season to season. So the idea of White Lotus is essentially that there is a hotel chain that's a very high, like upper echelon, rich folk hotel chain that's all in very exotic, I almost said erotic, but I mean, erotic locations. Exotic locations around the world, and each season has a lot of cool stars and recognizable faces. Actually, the very first season had Sydney Sweeney in it, but it was before she was famous and known for her tits. So she just played like this kind of annoying high school age, just kind of bitch, basically. So but there's a lot of other famous people in this show throughout as it goes, and it's comedy, but it's more on the it's drama. It's kind of all of the genres mashed up, but essentially every season is a murder mystery. So each season starts with a murder and then goes on to a new murder every season. So so neither one of y'all have heard about this?
I mean, I've heard of it for
Okay.
sure. I mean, your wife has raved about it. I think somebody even said I looked like someone or reminded them of someone on their show. Maybe
It was
for
probably a
something.
giant douche.
Oh, 100%. Probably gay. You know, par for the course. But no, I've definitely heard of it. I have never gotten around to watching it.
Yeah, I was about to say the extent of my hearing of it was
From
you
her.
guys talking about it.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
And I mean, right now, so we have only 3 reviews in Criticless. If you have seen it, make sure to go in and drop your review. But we have 100, a 90, and an 80. So all of them are most excellent. And I think a lot of this too, as anthologies go, you're going to like some seasons better than others. But the cool thing is the carryover of some of the characters and their arcs, because they interweave and they develop as they go, and the murder mystery elements of these are very cool because it starts out with the murder and actually shows you the death of the person, and then in that same first episode rewinds to the very beginning and the season goes through the murder, or like through the events of what led up to the murder.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very cool.
How long is it? Like, how many episodes is this in the season?
It's like 8 to 10 episodes. So total there's 21 episodes. There's 10 episodes a season, so because there's one new one. So yeah, and I will say the first episode of season 3 is very good. I wouldn't, even though it's an anthology, I wouldn't jump to season 3, just because I think that you'll get more out of it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is this kind of like American Horror Story, where like each season has the same similar cast, but it's a different story?
No, so the people that carry over are playing the same characters.
Okay,
like one character is a woman who is a masseuse and works in like the she's kind of the linchpin of the seasons, but she is essentially going from location to location. And so that, like, she has now made it to this new location. So like this season takes place in Thailand.
Okay.
So yeah. And all of the aesthetic, the vibe is all wrapped around. It's very beautiful places, pretty people. It's a very cool vibe. It's very elegant, and hence why my wife likes it, because
she hates ugly people.
Yeah. I mean, as it goes, obviously that's why she's into me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and what I was going to say about the show actually and the British accents was that there's an actor that you will definitely recognize in this season. I cannot remember the guy's name. He was in the Harry Potter series. He was Malfoy's dad. And he was also in the OA as the bad guy. I can never remember his name. But anyways, he was talking recently, and he talked about his favorite accent that he's done is actually a specific North Carolina accent from Durham, North Carolina, which is so hyper specific, which is actually the accent that he's doing in the show. And in this season, there is a North Carolinian family who seems to be rather incestuous. But yeah.
We get a bad rap for that,
A little on brand, if you know what I'm saying.
I think somebody in chat actually just asked, like, why would anybody move to North Carolina?
Because it is the best, why.
Wow.
So
that's the answer.
There's that. Who asked that? I want to know who asked that. It's because we're here. That's why they moved here. But the new season so far seems good. I really like it.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the main thing that I've been watching outside of the other things. But
yeah,
what you got going on over there, man?
Sure. So I'll start off with Sonic 3. That is now streaming on Paramount Plus for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. My son's a big fan of the Sonic movies, and I've seen the first 2 a couple times, and they're good movies.
Right.
And then Knuckles, we tried watching the show, and it sucked.
That show sucked.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really about Knuckles. It was about the other fat cop guy.
Yeah, that was my problem. It was about the annoying,
Kevin James.
bumbling.
Everyone knows that.
Any fat cop is getting
right. They all are.
But he's just like a bumbling idiot cop. So that show sucked. We didn't finish it. And so then we get to this one. And I'd heard, most people coming in being like, this is the most excellent. This is such a great movie.
Everybody except for me. The most controversial review within Criticless.
Yep. Blaine dropped
Quite
a decent.
Even over like Airplane?
I give it 40%. It's way lower than Airplane.
It's not the most.
I hate it.
Ridiculous review.
Yeah, right.
Xena gave Captain America most excellent.
That is the new one. Yes, that is the most ridiculous review in the entire app. I mean, let's be honest, but no. So
you're just trying to divert away from your Airplane review, which also mine's as long.
Yours is just as low, but I don't really necessarily want to be associated with like your opinions.
I have great opinions.
Oh yeah. We all do. Everyone knows the best opinions.
Yeah, I mean, we literally said at the beginning of this show, like it's not a reflection of the app.
Mhm,
Our
mhm.
opinions.
But yeah, no one owns me in some of my opinions as well. So yes. What
So,
did you think about it?
anyways,
Yes.
it's okay.
Oh,
It's like a low rad. So I'm in your boat, Blaine. Not
Yeah.
as low as you. I still enjoyed like the Sonic bits,
Mm-hmm.
and I just
It's a Robotnik movie. The movie is literally, it might as well be called Robotnik
And
the movie.
which would be fine if Robotnik wasn't just like this. I don't even know how to describe him.
He's a Looney Tunes character.
He's a Looney Tunes character. It's simpering. I think that I just made that up.
I mean,
Like
simpering
his
is a word.
grandfather, like because it was like him crawling on the floor, like begging at the feet of his grandfather, and it's this weird thing, and he does it over and over
Or
again.
his is his grandfather or his
It's
father?
grandfather.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. And there's just this weird thing where he does it multiple times. And I'm just like, this is freaking weird. And I don't like this because he's supposed to be this evil genius, not this cringy person.
Right.
is it still Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, and he's playing
Jim
himself.
Carrey's.
He's playing himself twice.
He is.
He's playing himself and his grandfather.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
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 It's
Like Medea situation.
yes, and it almost too much so. I mean, which granted, I will say, and I've said multiple times, and I don't know, Matt, where you sit with this, but like for me in these Sonic movies as a whole, this is just not what I want from Sonic movies. Sonic doesn't need to be in the real world with humans. Sonic needs to be in Green Zone and the other places in Sonic World, not on Earth with humans, just in a totally separate place. And I've caught crap for not liking these movies, but I just really don't like it.
See, I'm not in that realm with you.
Okay.
I do like that he's in this human world. I hope like the next movie, maybe they go to another world and they leave the human world behind or something like that.
Right.
But before I go into anything else, shout out to Caveatas for
Yeah.
$2.
I forgive
He
you
said,
for talking shit about North Carolina.
I put my son's review of Sonic 3 on Criticless.
Yeah.
So the question is, Caveatas, if that's your son's opinion,
Yes.
what is your opinion of it?
If I remember right, his was lower than what his son's opinion was, but he was being a little cagey about it. I think because he didn't want to be in the boat that I'm in, where everyone hates me for not liking this movie. I actually caught crap. I was at the Geeks and Gamers Super Bowl party recently, and it got outed that I did not like this movie. And I had an entire crew of people talk shit to me about because I didn't like this movie, because apparently everyone does. And I tried to get other folks to join me, but there were literally people that intentionally avoided this movie so that they wouldn't give it a bad review. I'm just going to put it that way. People that are big personalities in this community. I'll just put it that way.
Cowards.
I just don't think this is the most excellent movie. There's just, there needed to be more. And that's the first two movies were more about Sonic and his relationships. And this one was not. I mean, they were trying to build up Shadow in this movie, which is fine, but it should have been more about Shadow and not. But honestly, also, this felt like the second movie, just with a different character. It was like replace Knuckles with Shadow.
Well, and it got to the point of Looney Tunes world where like literally Jim Carrey was just manifesting things out of thin air like a Looney Tunes character. Like he literally just manifests a fence and a mailbox in the real world, like just out of nowhere. And it's like, where did that come from? And why is it here? And that happens. And then the next frame, it's gone. And he just like gets pincer arms, and you're just like, where did those come from?
Oh, yeah.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Like it's just
no, it was his suit. He was wearing a suit that could like create metal things.
well, exactly, but they didn't explain it. They did like it was worse than the nanotech in Marvel. Like it was just magic. Everything happens from magic in this world, apparently.
Yeah.
Also, I felt like it was like it's supposed to be a Shadow movie, and it felt like he was kind of second fiddle to the whole movie next to Robotnik.
Well, really, to the Robotnik. Yeah, to the Robotniks. It was like you said, it was a movie about them. Unfortunately, because he's good as a villain, a serious kind of like goofy villain. Like in the first movie, and the second movie, because the second movie I love when he's in his giant robot. I was like, this feels like the video game. This one, the third movie, did not feel like a video game. It did not like the boss battle at the end didn't hit for me.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it to me it doesn't stand up to the snuff of even the first two films, which I'm still not crazy about, but I would not have reviewed them like a 40 like this one. This one I left and I was just like, I've hated the shit out of this movie.
Wow.
It was just stupid. It was so stupid.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't like it. So
And you think they're going to come out with a fourth one?
Oh, absolutely. It's already greenlit.
Oh,
No. So many people loved this movie. It did really well.
Okay.
And for the mass.
Let's go ahead, Matt. Pull it up on screen here. So we have an 83% by 103 people.
Nice.
So it is a most excellent on Criticless, which is hard to land with that many reviews.
That's true.
Like that many to keep a most excellent is hard.
For sure.
And so now my Friends with Benefits score is a 64. So that is at least closer. It's pulling me closer towards my score of a 40 at the very least. And I did see some other scores in here, like for example, Master of the TDS gave it a 55%. He's closer to me. Also OMB Reviews, he gave it right around the exact same score.
Yeah.
So some people aren't liking it, but a lot less of us this time for sure.
It does seem that people that really like this movie are the ones that are really into lore and like love because characters.
It was so fan servicey.
It was. And I mean, I didn't get that, but also I was telling somebody today in the app, like I played the original video games, but that's my extent.
Right.
Yeah.
The fan service goes for the people who played it on the 3D consoles. It's like it's not for the old people like us who played on like 2D Sega Saturn or something.
Well, didn't they also have like an old Sonic?
There was a
TV
show.
There was.
People loved that.
I was never a big like Sonic guy. I was a Nintendo dude.
Same.
Like it's
Those the Sonic lovers like as kids, they were always the weird.
It was kind of like the kids who were into like Matchbox cars over Hot Wheels. Chris.
No. I thought you were gonna go somewhere else. No, I agree.
The look on your face, I was like,
yeah. I was like, how dare you talk shit about cars?
Yeah,
little cars,
little cars,
tiny cars.
Oh, okay, but not the tiny ones.
What micro machines? Y'all ever play with micro
listen,
machines?
those were even. That was a step down even from Matchbox. You know what I'm saying? So, Chris, did you have something else you were wanting to talk about that you'd seen?
No,
absolutely nothing. Haven't watched it.
No, I mean I've watched a few other things. It's all been nothing really new.
Right.
It's all been just comfort movies. Watched like Atlantis again.
Oh, nice.
Good classic.
Like the
stuff.
Disney animated Atlantis, which is so good.
It is.
I've been wanting to get my kids to watch that. I think a lot of people, I've noticed within Criticless as well, we have a lot of people kind of going back to these older Disney movies like that, and which I don't remember if it was Disney, but like Titan AE.
That was not.
And what is it, Treasure Planet? That cluster of time for animated movies was fucking sick.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and I've had multiple conversations in Criticless with several different people about that era because it was their like Disney's experimental era or something like that, and the movies didn't do well, but I love them.
They're super loved and remembered.
Right. I feel like a lot of people were like, yes, these movies are great.
Right. And it's sitting at Atlantis, The Lost Empire, which is the last bit of that, is it's sitting at an 80% on Criticless right now. If you have not seen it or you have kids, I would recommend watching Atlantis. This is an awesome movie. And obviously, per usual, it has its, you've got your exotic babe.
Baddie.
Oh yeah, she's she's a baddie. She's kind of a Jasmine-esque type of a character.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a princess,
and it's Michael J. Fox, I think, is the lead voice actor. There's also the guy who played Ernest. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Cook.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was also literally the movie came out a year after he died. Or I'm sure it wasn't a calendar year, but I mean, it came out. You know
what's funny? I didn't realize this is so weird, but Zena and I were literally just talking about him the other day, and we were like, "That's weird. This is his last movie." Yeah, like 2 days ago, we were talking about that.
Look at the universe.
Yeah. That was his last.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow,
it came out after he had died.
That's wild. So I did want to mention, I'm not even going to go into any depth. If you want to hear depth, you can go check out the streams. But I was recently, today actually, on Fear the Beardo's channel. We were reviewing the first Rambo film, but it's actually called First Blood, and I didn't realize that I had never seen the film before. But First Blood is awesome, and we go into depth on it on today's show. I'm trying to search it while I'm talking, which is not working well. Yeah. But I typed in Fist Blood, which is I want to see Fist Blood.
Actually,
yeah,
that sounds really good.
Fist Blood. I would watch Fist Blood in a heartbeat. Well, it depends. It really is it like a blood? I'm not even going to say what I was going to.
Probably because of the blood.
Yeah. So, anyways, First Blood, real good. I gave it 100%. And then I also watched The Three Amigos, and I gave it a 78%, which is still an excellent film. I feel like you've seen Three Amigos a lot. It seems like a Chris movie.
For sure.
Yeah.
Talking about Chevy Chase?
Yes.
Three Amigos?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just Chevy
Martin
Chase.
Short.
Steve Martin. Martin Short. Yes.
Saving the best for last.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I've reviewed both of those this week. One of which is on the Monday Night Hangover on Drunk 3PO's channel, and then also the other one was on Fear the Beardo's channel, which was from today. So I've watched and reviewed both of those. Really had a lot of fun with both of them. But First Blood definitely is like the shit. The movie's awesome.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's mainly what I've seen this week. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we pivot over into The Monkey?
Oh yeah. I've got something for y'all.
I'm scared.
You should be. This movie might be the fucking weirdest movie I've ever seen.
Okay.
It's called Titan. Titane.
Okay.
Are there any apostrophes in there?
No.
Wait. Oh,
unsurprisingly,
I heard about this. This is like a weird indie French movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I heard about this. It is considered a drama, thriller, horror film.
Yes, it's a body horror, but it's got a lot going on with this movie.
All right.
Yeah.
I know I'm not watching it.
Yeah. No.
Well, let me just put it this way.
I officially am out of body horror. Now, granted, I'm going to pull up a picture here, Matt. If you want to put this on screen, this is on Criticless. This is a photo that is happening in the app. There's a flaming car with some sort of scantily clad woman. Something's happening here. I don't even know. But I remember reviews coming through for this when it came out. It looks really weird.
It's actually a couple of years old.
Yeah. Well, people were reviewing it within Criticless.
Yeah. I mean, as you see, we have 10 reviews now because Xena and I reviewed it and somebody else dropped a review.
Yeah, Chalk Demon gave it a 50%.
Yep.
I trust his score a little more than
Yeah. Oh, let me get into it then. Let me get into it. Let me just tell you all the premise.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me set the stage for you guys. Last night, Xena puts our son to bed first, and then we switch and I like close. And I go back there, and I'm back there for like 10, 15 minutes. And I come out into our living room, and on the screen is a woman biting and sucking on another woman's tit.
Okay.
Like you see the nipple, like
you have me.
And it's like biting, and the chick's like, ow.
Oh, okay. No.
And the other girl like pushes her off.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the?
It was like 6 to midnight and then midnight to 6. Yeah. We were straight up and straight down. You ruined it.
I imagine coming out of my son's room, dark, peaceful place, to seeing all this.
I prefer not to imagine that. Nope.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I'm just like, what in the world's going on? Xena's like, oh, this is some movie that's been on my list for a while that is really wild. And I was like, okay, you need to give me the pitch. What have I missed in the first 10 minutes? And she goes, oh, well, this chick had sex with a car and is now pregnant, and she's probably a serial killer. And I was like, oh,
okay,
cool. First 10 minutes, logical. This is something else. Sure enough, it just keeps going. Like the next 2 minutes, she murders a handful of people and then goes on the run and then decides to hide out as a missing boy. So she shaves her head. She's pregnant. She shaves her head.
Okay.
Yeah, with a car. And because she's leaking she's lactating motor oil. Her period is motor oil. Dude.
All of it?
Yes.
Why are you okay? You don't lactate blood, right? Like this doesn't make sense. I need to talk to the director, writer, somebody here.
Oh, and that's the thing. And this movie just keeps going, and it's so fucking weird. And the whole time I was just looking at the screen like, what is going on? And Xena's just like, what is going on too?
So did y'all restart for you or
no? So we finished the movie, and then I was like, I need to rewatch the beginning.
Oh, so you went okay.
I was like, we just go back to the beginning and watch the 15 minutes. And she's like, you don't need to see all 15 minutes.
Okay.
You can fast forward through her younger years, because the thing is she has a plate in her head from a car accident that causes her to have sex. I don't know. They don't really. There's a lot of it just figure it out yourself.
Really explains. So Divosaurus Rex, been in Criticless for a long time. His only text is, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And which sounds very appropriate.
It is,
but yet he gave it a 38%, and you say that that's appropriate, and you gave it a 69%, and your wife gave it a 74.
Because there are a lot of thoughts. So it is this really what the fuck kind of movie, but there's also this weird level of
Matt's about to pathologize this whole movie.
I am, because it's this whole unwanted motherhood and
there's a deeper meaning.
There are, and it's really weird because if it was just a rape movie where it was this whole like I didn't want my child like kind of thing, it would make a lot more sense. Instead, it's a car and all this stuff. It's strange, but as you can see, I'm not the only one who thinks it's like a rat. There's a handful of reviews. There's 10 reviews now.
There
a lot of them are rads are decent.
John Ray Movie Man, a legendary Criticless user, gave it 100%, which I will say is not an unknown number to John Ray. He really loves the 100 number because if he loves something, he will love the shit out of that something.
He will.
So he said it was wild and batshit crazy from start to finish, and it was one of the weirdest movies he'd ever seen, and he loved it. So there's that.
Wow. So it's like Herbie just turned real bad.
Yeah.
This is the after effects.
This is Herbie from Over the Tracks.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the car's not in anymore. She does have sex with a different car later on.
Wait, you did say rape. So did the car rape her?
No.
Sex
No,
with
she had sex with it.
Okay.
No, she willingly
Well,
got in
that's
there and rode that
the joystick.
Okay.
Not a joystick.
joystick shifter. Yeah, no, she rode that thing. She had like her seatbelts like this, and she's just riding that.
Keep talking.
Raw dog that bad boy.
I'm just waiting for our stream to just go down. This is like I'm waiting.
Yeah,
We
y'all
got-
thought you were monetized.
Speaking of, we thought we were. People in the chat are just like, "What is happening right now?" Actually, I need to mention we need to go ahead and show this on screen. I think he left.
Do we?
Oh wait, no, he's still in here. So El Capitan, known as the Meat Man, the Captain Meat, the Meat Master,
Auntie Blaine.
Yes, the anti Dark Blaine. I don't know even what he went by. I don't remember, but yes, he said
lover.
he said $2 is all it costs for you cheap whores to read my message. Now, granted, I noticed right here you're missing one whole cent, sir. You were 1 cent short of $2, which is why we waited to read this. So, but thank you for your $2, much appreciated, sir. We'll take it. Glad
And run.
Yes,
Captain.
And as my wife said, no refunds. So, but yeah, this sounds really weird. And yes, so Caveat Ty says that John Ray gave Raiders of the Lost Ark a bad score. I can't trust him. And honestly,
It's a fair point.
It is a fair point. Granted, people say they don't trust me for giving Alien a low score and Airplane a low score. So
wow, we're really just airing all like
the dirty laundry right out here.
On by.
Well, I mean, listen, if we aired out all the movies that your scores would be judged on, we'd be here all day. So,
You know what we should do?
What should we do?
Tally up all the downvotes that people have gotten.
Dude,
Blaine would
I've
definitely
gotten 10.
win.
No, I
No.
would.
Oh,
I
I
just
would
got
probably
10 on my Captain America.
I will say no. I'll say this. So Xena, Wine Fiend in the chat, she officially broke the Criticless record for downvotes this week in less than 24 hours.
That's my wife.
Heck yeah.
In less than 24 hours, she broke the downvotes. I want to go and look, actually. So she reviewed Captain America. What is it called?
Brave New World.
Brave New World. Jeez. It has a 30% on Criticless by 111 people. It is universally hated. And the two of you have highly skewed my Friends with Benefits score, may I add, between you guys and Kyle Gazak as well. Y'all have screwed my stuff up big time. So if I click here on my Friends with Benefits, she gave it an 81%, and she officially has 18 downvotes, one of which is mine. I claim one of those. So 18 is the Criticless record currently.
Yeah.
So if you have your shit opinions, feel free to leave them on criticless.com. So it sounds like
Also, real quick.
Yes, what you got?
Caveat Ties, $2 said he never trusted you in the first place. And that's definitely towards you, not me.
You think that's towards me? I don't feel like that's towards me. I actually feel like me and old Cave Titties agree quite often.
I don't know. You didn't clarify, so I'm definitely taking that as towards you.
And also on top of that, El Capitan wanted to know if he could super chat 1 cent. So, and I don't think you can.
No, I think it has to be $2 more.
Yeah,
I heard $2 and a cent.
I heard a solid 50 is like where, I mean,
that's true.
not cents,
That's true.
dollars. So, yeah, which granted, after going into these streams with all these other guys, I mean, they just, I don't understand. Some people like do some wild super chats. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen like hundreds and hundreds in super chats, and it blows my mind on a regular basis. People are wild out there. But hey, if you want to throw us,
I was about to say, if you want to be wild in our
free.
direction,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get weird with it.
Yeah.
So but I think in all honesty, that probably mostly covers it for what we've been watching, right, fellas?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move into our review, our spoiler-free review of Oh, I was trying to show Chris our little bumper. He hasn't seen our humping ladies yet. Yeah, we went full 80s on our little bumpers here, and I was a big fan of this one. So this is our spoiler-free chat for The Monkey. So you can hang out if you don't want anything ruined for the movie. We won't ruin it unless I slip up, and then I take no responsibility for my actions because, well, that's how I roll. So, because as of last week, I caught some major crap for outing the cameo and Captain Douchebag. Yeah, whatever. I don't even care about that movie. I let out the one cameo in the entire film, which was completely and totally pointless.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a fan service. It literally did nothing at all for the movie.
Completely pointless. So, anyways, yes, we are going to be talking about The Monkey, the 2025 film. It is sitting in at a whopping hour and a half, which is a perfect time for a film.
So great.
It's just like these movies, man. These indie film companies are really figuring out, because they have been like, a lot of these have been on point. Chris, I'm really sad that you weren't here a couple weeks ago. Or was it when did we review Companion, Matt? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Oh no, it was
3 weeks ago,
right before Valentine's Day.
I have no idea what's going on.
We're like 3 or 4
between my traveling and everything.
Day was the 14th.
That was only a week ago. So,
so
it was at least 2 weeks.
Before that.
It was at least 2 weeks.
We reviewed a film called Companion. It was also an hour and a half, and we gave it a lot of high scores. I was in the most excellent. But so this movie, like I mentioned, is directed by Osgood Perkins. Now, if you're not familiar with Osgood Perkins, you might be, because this guy actually directed the recent film Longlegs, which got a lot of praise from critics and audiences. Per usual, Matt has a terrible opinion, according to some people. According to some people,
it's not a good movie. People are wrong.
Okay.
I'm right.
Yeah,
They're
it's
wrong.
not an opinion; it's a fact.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Not a good movie.
So, and that movie was starring Nicolas Cage in an interesting role, from what I've heard from the people that like it. But it is currently sitting at a 68% by 69 people.
Yeah.
So
it's just that 1%.
I know 1%.
So close.
And the interesting thing is, my Friends with Benefits score is also a 68%, which is that's kind of wild that it's right on par. I'm curious what I'll think, but it is on Hulu now, so you can see it quite easily, which was his previous film, and he followed it up very quickly behind with this new movie of The Monkey. Now, like I said, this is starring Theo James. Now, you might or might not recognize Theo James. He actually was most notably in the, if I remember correctly, he was in those oh god, what were the movies that I thought he was in? Those like very sexual, hypersexual movies, but I can't remember. But maybe he wasn't. I thought he was that guy, but maybe he's not, because I don't see 50 Shades of Grey here on his catalog.
I have no idea.
But he's in the Insurgent films and Divergent and Allegiant, those movies. But really, the thing that I love him from is the recent show The Gentleman, which if you have not watched, I highly recommend watching. The Gentleman is at 86% right now on Criticless by 28 people. I loved it. It's a Netflix original show, spin-off / continuation / I don't know what of the movie The Gentleman. Yeah, it's a very good show. But so I really like Theo James. When I saw he was in this and who was directing it, I got pretty excited. I do not really want to talk about or show anybody else in the movie, simply because there are cameos and people that pop in and out of this movie. There's several folks that are famous that are in it. But this movie so far, we've got two reviews in the app so far, which is from This Is Savvy, who gave it a 80%, and she liked it quite a bit. And attached to review, which you can check out in the app, and also Max Vident, so a rad. So we have a rad and a most excellent. Yeah. This just came out tonight, so we are fresh off the press with this thing. And so I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I think I want to hear Chris's thoughts first, because he had not seen a trailer. He did not know what this movie was. He did not know what he was going to see. He knew nothing.
Yeah. It's just blank up here, man.
Yeah.
Great.
Right. I can't imagine. So, yeah. So, Chris, what did you think about The Monkey?
It was a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
In the entertainment value, off the charts.
Right.
Is it a good movie? Debatable.
Okay.
But I would probably, you want me to like give a score?
Right. Would you be in like, at least at the very least, like rad territory on Criticless?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, or most excellent.
It's probably like very low, most excellent. Yeah.
Like 80% or maybe 79.
70s. Yeah.
78, 79.
80s. Yeah.
So high rad.
Yeah.
High rad. Nice. So you did like it, which I mean, so that's the other thing that I did want to touch on, is that this movie, luckily they are billing it as a horror comedy. And I almost would put comedy before horror in a certain
For sure.
sense. It's
Yeah.
almost in its own genre.
Yeah.
It's almost like if there was just a genre that was called gore. Like
100%.
Honestly, it's in the same genre as not Bill and Ted, Dale and Tucker.
yeah,
Yeah.
versus Evil.
Because
sure.
it's the same
Tucker and Dale
sort
versus Evil.
of like comedy horror. Well, like you were saying, like
Yes.
it's not a horror first, not really.
No, it's not even
No.
like
It's not a horror.
No.
My opinion.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
it's like a violence comedy.
Yeah.
I don't, and that's not a genre, but like really that's the best way to describe it. This movie is going to be for people who find very tragic, gory deaths funny.
Which I feel like we were the only people
We were
laughing
cackling.
in the movie.
Which
but,
is hilarious because like we walked in right after the trailers and somebody had just smoked a
Oh.
bowl. Like you could see
Bro.
the whole packed theater smelled like weed.
Oh, it was like in the seats.
Yep.
Yeah.
You couldn't smell any popcorn or
No, nothing.
butter. It was just weed.
Just marijuana.
Yep.
Like
Which
it was
is funny because I was telling Blaine, I was like, why weren't people cackling? Because if I was
Right.
high as a kite watching that movie, I
Unless
probably
they were
would have been on the
disturbed.
floor laughing. Unless
Right.
they were disturbed.
true. Because this is like, I could see people, this is a very indie movie. This is a very weird movie. This is probably going to go down as a cult classic. Like I could see
yeah.
it being in that realm of like, this is one of those that 10 years from now, kids are stumbling upon media landscape looks like at that point, and they're like, I just watched this weird ass movie that came out like back when I was a kid, and it's fucking crazy. Like that's what I imagine this
Yeah.
movie to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it is over the top and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I mean, any more thoughts on it, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to mind to me was it's like a comedy Final Destination. You know what I mean? Like
Holy
there's
shit.
a lot of Final Destination vibes.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. And actually, kind of a
Yeah, I guess that's a broad way to do it.
it is. And the interesting thing about this though, and I think Tucker and Dale, whatever that movie's called.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that is a good way to put it. The type of humor here is very interesting because there is a dryness to it. I don't know if you agree with that, but I know that you like dry humor. I felt like the
I mean,
humor
there
here
was
kinda
dry humor. I don't know if it was humorous. It was just dry.
Yeah,
Like the humor came from kills,
Yeah.
not
well,
from like people talking.
and even
really.
still, like some of the stuff people said was very dry, and it was clearly intended to be funny. And it's just like, this is either your brand or it's not.
Right. This is going to be very divisive, I think. To the point, but I do feel like it's probably going to land somewhere in the like 50s. I think as an overall, I feel like people are going to dislike it more than like it.
Hmm.
I think it's just going to be the few people that are really big into dark humor stuff. But
Right.
I could be wrong.
All right. So, and Joan Lovelace says from 1 to 10 guys, question mark. So on a critical scale, so we go to 100, but so technically Chris would be around
7.8,
like,
7.9.
7.8, 7.9.
Something like that.
Technically. So, I don't know, Matt, you want to go or you want me to go?
Oh, yeah, I'll go next.
Okay.
So I did not love it as much as Chris did.
Sure.
I am waffling between a high decent and a low rad because I feel like this movie relied so heavy on just like shocking kills, but they happened so often.
Yeah.
They were
That was the best part.
routine. It was like every 3 to 5 minutes of an hour and a half movie,
Yes.
there was a shocking death. I just felt like it's one of those things where it gets tiresome.
I see what?
What's that?
I see what you did there with the shocking death.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know
Thank
that
you.
was intentional. I don't
I
think
know
it
it wasn't.
It was completely intentional.
Shocking death. If you, well, you'll understand if you see the movie. There is a shocking, quite literally, death.
Right. But and that's another thing. So like we were just saying, like all the comedy came from these shocking deaths, not necessarily from the characters themselves. And I felt like the characters were kind of just meh. You know, for me anyways, I was just like didn't get attached to any of them, even when the boys, like it was any of them. I don't want to say too much about like the story or anything like that. I don't know. I never got attached to anybody, and it just was like, okay, shocking death. Oh, that was cool gore. That was a cool kill,
Mhm.
but on to the next, like in between
Yeah.
period.
That's very interesting. I can't pin you down, man.
Dude,
You know, like
I don't like to be pinned down by
I
guys.
could tell that he wasn't enjoying it as much as you and I were either. Me and you were like just absolutely cackling through this entire film.
Yeah. What was that movie? That's hunting people down and killing
The
them?
Hunt?
Maybe. I don't know.
No, that was
Anyways,
people hunting people.
Yeah, they were on a bridge. And anyways.
Oh, that movie was terrible. The horror movie, Tarot.
Oh, Tarot.
Yeah. And that one, you were like, it needed more, constant gore and stuff like that, which I agreed with you.
That was because they would just swoop in and do it all of a sudden. And we all thought that movie was a bogus.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Everyone did.
Yeah.
This is an interesting. I think where the rubber meets the road is that this movie had comedy in it. And Matt quite literally does not understand comedy. He doesn't.
I don't understand comedy. It's that comedy doesn't understand me.
He's just a stick in the mud.
He doesn't like not having control of his body. He doesn't want to get into something.
No.
See, he hates that right there. I saw a tear.
You're
fall
hating
from
this.
his eye.
Don't enjoy it, man. Don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well,
Feed
Don't
my
let.
agenda, please. Let me be right here.
Yeah, it's I had a feeling that was where Matt was going to be too. And apparently, guys, sorry, there is some sort of lag happening.
Yeah,
this is the second time we've had it
on our end.
No.
And Xena ran a speed test, and it's not our internet.
Yeah, so
it's got to be our stream server.
we think StreamYard has given us hell. Apparently, it has been issues for other people that use it too. Maybe after our subscription runs out, we'll switch to somebody else.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. But yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and give my opinion since we're opinion giving here, and hopefully our shit will fix itself soon here. So, or maybe it's just YouTube. Who knows? I guess if anybody is on X and watching over there, let us know if it's freezing up for you guys too. Who knows? But so my opinion on this movie is I really liked it a lot. Like I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I'm actually in the most excellent territory. Simply because of how much fun I had. I just legitimately had a lot of fun. Yeah. This movie's funny as shit. Like, it made me laugh a lot. And I don't think that this is... God, Matt. Yeah, I don't think that this is the best movie ever, but also, like, if you're into weird horror adjacent movies, if you are into gore at all... Like, and if you're into just like crazy kills and like mentioning the Final Destination, you want to see it done in a comedic way, there's some crazy shit here that is just absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Like,
and dude, it starts off fast.
Yeah.
I mean, first 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's just like punch you right in the face, right in the gut, some would say.
Yeah. It is the first kill is honestly one of the best kills in the movie. Because it is so absurd and so ridiculous. Yeah. And it's just like every time it happens, you're like, maybe I see what's coming. And then you're like, nope, didn't see them handling it that way. Like you might even see the kill coming, but you don't see the way that the kill is executed coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when they go left, you'll see it go left, but then they swerve right instantly.
Yes, one of my problems is that they just happen really quickly.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about Saw. The Saw franchise. Like I like those, but that's because it's like this tension build over like, can I escape? There's this like fear factor. These movies is just like I open a door and then something happens to me and I'm dead.
It's shock factor.
Literally it is. But all the kills are just shock factor.
Hey, you know what's not in the Saw movies?
Humor? Yeah. Imagine that.
Is there a connection here?
Yeah, like if you're a person who hates torture porn but likes horror and goriness, you'll probably like this.
Maybe.
Chris and I hate torture porn because we're not fucking freaks. Well, not
I don't like torture porn.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I am. I'm not a huge fan of that type of a horror, so this works great for me. And this wasn't horror, like we said, but it was just a. This is a fun, gory movie, which is hard to find.
Yeah.
And, you're going to either get action gore or you're going to get horror gore, but it's rare to fit in this lane. It almost makes me think of like the only people doing anything even quite like this was almost like the old trauma films as far as like Toxic Avenger and those types of movies where they're just like gore for gore's sake.
Right.
And like in just ridiculous ways where it was like, it felt like Osgood Perkins, like he was like, I want to do practical effects. I want to do digital effects. I just want to make gory things happen. I want to turn people to absolute paste. I want to make people explode. I want to lose limbs. Like, it is just what is your favorite kill? Because like Matt said, every 10 minutes you're getting a kill at least. And that's honestly probably favorable as far as, or that's too forgiving. It's less than 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Per kill.
Yeah. There's not a lot of downtime.
No.
And they also don't linger on it too much. A lot of times they'll be like, here's a 1 minute pan shot of this, whatever bowelless body. So it's pretty quick and to the point, which I guess is something that Matt doesn't like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to feel it. You know what I mean?
You want to feel something. Anything.
Trying to feel alive. Yeah, this movie it really did check all the boxes that I like for this type of thing. And so we did not really get into the premise, but essentially the movie is about a magical monkey that causes people to die. And one fun tidbit we were talking about before the movie was that initially in the short story written by Stephen King, the monkey hits cymbals and clangs them together. But essentially Osgood Perkins was not allowed to do that in this movie because when they made Toy Story 3, Disney decided to actually get the rights to a monkey clanging cymbals together, which is absolutely absurd. And so he couldn't do that in this movie, so he gave the monkey a drum. So when the monkey plays his drum, deaths happen. And I don't want to go too much more in depth. I don't think we should.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But it is a magical monkey. And I was worried about how they were going to pull this off and if it was going to make sense with the story and if it was just kind of going to be a little absurd and like how they were, because a person has to interact with the monkey for it to kill people. And so it's like, how are they going to make this work? Because if someone knows that it kills people, why would they mess with it?
Yeah, I mean, and they kind of make it work. It's still like, is it tenuous? You just have to be like, okay.
I mean, it totally worked for me with where it wasn't making sense until it did, and they explained why, and it worked.
Yeah.
For me. So, personally,
Yeah.
without getting into spoilers,
right?
So, yeah. But I think that the monkey. How did y'all like the monkey design? I freaking loved it.
It was creepy. Yeah, like it.
Yeah, fully effective. I mean, the fact though, so like when you go to wind it up, the mouth smiles.
Yeah, and the way it does it is
hand goes up.
Super cool.
The eyes are super like too big for the face and like realistic looking to give it this creepy look, and then you just feel like it starts.
Yep,
and it's just
you're like
fantastic.
And
I mean, that's really good. That's why I was like, I'm not like this isn't a bad movie. That's why I was like, it's a high, decent, or a low rad. I'm not saying this is a bogus.
Sure.
Like Tarrant was. This is definitely got a lot of fun kills, and it is a cool creature design.
Yeah.
So
I think that this is going to go down in like the horror realm of like an iconic film in the horror adjacent space. I think
definitely not a horror film in my mind.
It's not a horror film, but I think I know
Yeah.
it. We all constantly go back and forth about how we classify movies, but I think as far as the horror audience and the people into just kind of the weird shit, this is going to go down as something that people talk about being really cool and just innovative.
Yeah.
And I think that similar to Longlegs, I think most people are going to like it quite a lot, especially people that are into any movies. But this isn't one of those that you're going to be like telling your parents, like, you should go see this crazy horror movie or like whatever, you know.
This is the perfect date movie, though.
Yes, it is a perfect date movie.
Caveat Ties asked, like, is the monkey going to spank the competition? I don't know what the competition is this week. I think it's an action movie.
Is it?
I can't remember what the other thing is this weekend, but I think this will spank the competition because it's a good day movie. Like our theater was,
it was packed,
90% full.
Yeah.
And it was the first showing. And I mean, it looked like most of the people were couples.
Right.
And I was like, yeah,
there was a lot of couples.
This is a perfect, and it's rated R. So maybe not, this won't be for high schoolers.
Right.
But plenty of college kids and all that. Like, I think they'll all be going to see this.
I can definitely see this hitting the like high school group of people.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And wanted to go ahead and give a thank you to Joan Lovelace. Thank you for the $2. So thanks.
Lovelace you.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging around and checking out what we had to say. But
wait.
yes.
What's Caveat Ties? Nothing goes over my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, we got the spank of the monkey joke for.
Oh yeah, we got it. Well, I mean, Matt's laughing, so it was one of the two things that Matt finds
Did you
funny.
not hear what I said?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and if there's anything you'll know about Matt, he doesn't find anyone or anything else funny, but he sure finds himself funny. If anybody's funny, Matt is funny.
Yeah,
to Matt.
Obviously. ask my wife. She knows.
Yep.
See, she's laughing because she understands.
Most hilarious person that he knows is himself, for sure. Big facts. So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and transition over into the spoiler conversation for this movie. But any last words about it for people, or like what they might expect? Or
I mean, no,
I think we summed it up pretty well for spoiler free.
Yeah, I think we've hit it like for a spoiler free
and quit it.
Yeah, I would say to definitely check this out, especially if for whatever reason you wait until streaming or something like that. Like, it's totally still worth watching when it pops up. This is a fun, goofy movie. It'd be fun to watch with friends. It'd be fun to watch absolutely high as shit.
Oh,
yeah.
This is one of those movies that is just like, you don't go expecting to see some type of serious horror movie. Holy crap, we got Drunk 3PO in the freaking chat. What's up, buddy? How's it going? So yeah, he hit the transition point of us heading into the spoiler stuff. But yeah, this is going to be one of those, if you are into if you like to laugh, but you also like horror adjacent stuff, this would be fun. I do not think that this is in the like bad modern films. This is actually something good. And I think outlets like Neon and A24, they really seem to be the studios that are really hitting the stuff that's actually good.
And I think that's because they understand not every horror movie needs to be for PG-13. They don't need to pull their punches.
No,
we like gore, and that's what keeps this movie afloat. Because imagine this movie if they took out the gore element.
Yeah.
This movie would not be great.
Right. Well, it'd be like 5 minutes long. So I got that.
That's true.
Yeah. You do have to be okay with the brutality, the over the top stuff, like because it is this movie is like gross and weird, but like we said earlier, it doesn't overly linger. It's not going to make you watch this brutal, gross kill like a lot of these horror movies do. It's just like kill and it's fast and it's done. Which Matt clearly wants.
I mean, you could linger a little bit.
Wow. Which is why it's perfect for those of us that don't like the more over-the-top, in-your-face horror stuff. Which I think is... I was curious where Chris was going to sit with it because I had heard that it was gory and gross and weird. And I was like, oh, man, I hope Chris is actually going to dig this. And one thing that we haven't mentioned, this is based off a Stephen King short story. And I will say that this movie captures the spirit of like written Stephen King almost better than anything I've ever seen to date. I've read a lot of Stephen King over the years. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of Stephen King, the human, much anymore. He's just obnoxious at this point. He's one of these people that's fallen down a political rabbit hole and can't seem to find his way out. He's very Mark Hamill in that way. But I do love his writing still a lot. And I'm pretty sure I've read this short story at some point in time many years ago. You probably have too, but
I can't remember.
They're always in these compilations.
I think of the Monkey Paw, which is Edgar Allan Poe and Stephen King. So I actually don't know if I have read this one, but I want to go find it, see if we have it on the bookshelf somewhere, one of the compilation books.
Yeah, it felt like a story because there is just some very weird bits, some strange things that happen in this that feel like a book, and I really dug that stuff. It was just. I like that it wore its weirdness on its sleeve. And that is the big thing about this. If you're into that kind of writing Stephen King stuff, I think you'll really enjoy this.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to get a lot below decents.
No, I don't think so.
So, all right, guys, we're going to move into spoilers starting now. Matt, do you have a... Look at that. We got bumpers.
Woohoo!
In between sections.
Bump that shit.
Unfortunately, not more humpy ladies, but we got lightning bolts. So, yeah. So into the spoilers here. Really, this is like there are some spoilery bits as far as the story, but this movie is about the kills.
100%.
Yeah, because the characters are flat as fuck.
I didn't find them flat. I thought they were great. I actually really liked them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you had mentioned that you said didn't get attached to anybody. I mean, it is an hour-and-a-half movie, and most everybody dies except for like the main character. And I feel like the main character is the best person to get attached to.
I didn't get attached to him.
Right.
I just thought he was flat. He was very like, oh, I'm putting up walls around myself the whole time, and that's my character.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't become attached to you. Like, and that's the thing. So there's a movie called The Wolf in Sleepy Hollow, I think, or Snowy Hollow.
Oh, I remember that. Y'all like that. I was not crazy about it.
Because the main guy is this drunk, the deputy sheriff, and he's just like losing his mind. And that's what I expected from this role. Like after seeing the trailer, I thought he was just gonna be kind of like losing his mind in a creative way, and he wasn't. He's just like walled up and just kind of flat. Even when he's interacting with the son that he's trying to protect, it just didn't land.
Well, and I think that was the whole point. Is so to set it up, these two, that is the other thing I didn't want to mention earlier, is that this movie is actually kind of in two segments and two parts. It's kind of split in half, which they don't allude to in the trailers at all. This is you get to witness our characters young, and then you get to witness them as adults. And it is pretty much, I would consider split in half, wouldn't you?
Wow. I don't think there was as much time as kids.
Right.
But
yeah, I feel like it was like 20 minutes, kids,
a substantial chunk,
half,
more than I was expecting.
Hour plus. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. They do. I mean, it's pretty close to halfway.
So yeah, you get a substantial portion of Theo James as a kid. And the interesting thing is that his actually twins, which I don't know if that was in the trailers either, but that is a very important part of this plot, is that his character is two people technically, and they have a young actor playing two roles, and then they have him playing two roles. And you kind of had this edgelord dickhead and this very buttoned up, kind of nerdy, very submissive character. But and the reason with Matt talking about not liking this guy is I think what I really got from this is there is wall-to-wall death in this movie from start to finish, and the whole thing is you get to look at two sides of this same type of person, and you get one person who deals with death in one way and one who deals with another. One is they are emotionally stunted and they are very immature and did not deal with the death well and almost stay a child. And then you have another person who is just emotionless. They're like, I am not even humaning anymore because I have seen so much death. And that was what you didn't like about it. But I actually liked that approach of like, if you were to see this much death and destruction, you might just not be a person anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I had those thoughts while we were watching the movie. I just felt, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't portrayed enough.
Right.
And somehow, because I mean, they did focus, like you're saying, for the first 30 minutes on them as kids. And it was basically pre-death. It was just like the dad, I guess the dad died.
He ran out.
He ran out. Well, no, he was the first scene. He was the opening scene.
But he didn't die. He was flamethrowing the monkey,
right?
And that's all we saw.
Yes.
And so I assumed from that he was actually killed also.
Right. Or he died. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
He abandoned the monkey essentially to his kids. So I'm guessing he probably actually did not die. But basically the first kill in the movie, and actually what we didn't want to talk about with the cameos in this film, is that speaking of Severance, is that Adam Scott is in this movie. And he plays the father, and he looks wild. He's got like a mustache.
Right.
I almost felt like they gave him like something about his face looked different. I don't know if he had prosthetics on or
clothing was too big.
Maybe.
And it made his face look weird.
Like
that was my thoughts on
it. Well,
and
I was like, they had odd angles on him too. He was like down, the camera was down low, and like it was just, they were taking weird angles.
Yeah.
What I also noticed is like, I mean, I just watched Severance this morning, and he looks completely different, like a completely different person in Severance that he does in this movie.
Right.
It
made me wonder if they almost gave him like a prosthetic chin or something. His chin
was way bigger. It was like double chin up.
So I don't know if that was intentional or what they did, but that very first kill right out of the gate is fucking great.
Right. It really sets the movie up, like the whole theme and feel of it.
Yeah, which is him. So what he does, Adam Scott's character goes and they set up this whole movie great, and they're like, hey, look, I want to get rid of this monkey. You don't want it to activate. And they really set the tone with like the comedy and just the weirdness and the uneasiness of this whole movie right here in the jump. And basically he gives away the monkey, and he's like, look, if it starts drumming, bad shit happens. And instantly the monkey starts drumming, and you're like, what bad is going to happen? And the guy at the pawn shop gets harpooned through the stomach.
Yeah. Which coolest pawn shop I've ever seen.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh man, where is this pawn shop? Can you please give me the address? Because I need to know. They've got scuba diver suits and samurai swords. I'm talking about the coolest thing you could ever have in a store.
It was like almost like a Ripley's museum kind of situation.
Right. And so essentially he gets harpooned through the stomach, and then you're like, well, that's not going to kill him. And then the harpoon gets pulled back, and it literally rips his intestines out of his stomach and just keeps pulling them out until there's just a giant string of intestine across the entire room.
Yeah.
And it's just a absolutely wild kill. And that really, like I said, this whole opening scene really sets the tone for like what this movie is going to be.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you thought that we were going to pussyfoot around with these kills, no, they're going to be absurd and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep.
And from there, the kills just happen over and over. The next kill, which actually takes a little bit of time, probably the biggest gaps in kills are within the early, probably 20 to 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And the setup.
Yeah, because they're busy setting up the sibling relationship,
Right.
and laying the groundwork for how they come to know about the monkey.
Yeah. And so, yeah, basically, like the second kill is literally a chick at a hibachi bar, like getting her entire head chopped off and falling on a like hibachi table.
Which I rolled my eyes at that one.
That was the most unbelievable one,
Yeah.
which is a wild thing to say at this movie, but like that was the most like that doesn't even like physically make sense. But
Right,
yeah.
and that was the second one.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I thought it should have been like she fell on the grill, or like her chair like broke and she like fell on the grill, and it like
or like whatever they're doing to like flip something into your mouth and something happens then.
right.
They could have gone with a cooler kill. I think that they were. I don't know why they went with that one over possibly some others. Like because of all of the really absurd kills.
Yeah.
That was one of the most kind of almost tame. Now, granted, what happens afterwards when her head falls off is that it gets fried on the hibachi grill.
Right.
So
Which is why I think they went that way, because they were like, this will be cool. We'll cut her head off somehow with a knife that's not long enough.
Right.
And it'll fall on the grill.
Yeah.
And it'll
Which, and really, these are the moments. Like it really, you mentioning the movie series that you mentioned a minute ago.
Saw.
No, absolutely not. The old 2000s.
You're talking about
Final Destination. I kept wanting to call it Final Fantasy. The word was not coming. But yes, it is very Final Destination-y, where you're like thinking about like, oh, I'm going to be in a certain scenario, and I'm going to think about kills from this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're so wild.
Dude. The pool one was the one that got the biggest reaction. I was in that.
She just exploded. It wasn't electrocution. It was like a bomb went off in her body, and I don't think electricity works that way.
It does for me now.
Oh, man. That would be so much better. Holy moly.
Yeah. So that was a little bit later when they're adults. There is a woman who like air machine
AC
unit falls down. The electricity hits some water. The water carries over into a swimming pool, and she dives in. She's like, they're just going with like this whole like, you're gonna get to see this sexy chick. She's wearing a thong. Her whole ass is out, and you're just
at the most like rundown motel on the side of the road
in the middle of the night.
And honestly, his response is like the best, because the character is so dry, and he just looks over at this chick and he's just like, yeah, like where he's been like mostly emotional or emotionless the entire film, and he sees this chick in a bikini, he's just like, hot damn.
Yes.
Like, and then she dives into the pool and fucking just explodes.
It's so ridiculous, dude. It's like as soon as her finger, she's diving, and as soon as her finger touches the water, it's just like,
Oof, just dust,
red mist.
red mist and a couple limbs. Like, and oh no, that's not the one.
Someone you're thinking the other one.
Yes, there's a woman who gets misted as well with a shotgun blast in the face, and he's just standing there like, and he pulls a fucking finger out of his mouth, like just a whole finger. And his son's downstairs, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, are you fine?" He's like, "It's okay." Like,
right, and I'm just like, there could have been plenty of times for like reactions,
right?
Because imagine these in my mind, I was like, imagine these over the top reactions, be like, "Oh my god!"
Right.
We gotta get out of here right now. But then he tries to pull it back and play it cool.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing, is he doesn't react at all. And I get it.
Yeah.
He's been dealing with death. Like, he inadvertently killed his mom. Like, so he's like trying to keep it cool and calm and collect for everybody around him.
Yep.
But he never cracks.
Right.
Even when a bunch of bees fill a person up.
Which I actually
was my least favorite.
The bees was the worst kill in the movie, honestly. It was like kind of the most absurd, but also like, I feel like on paper it sounded cool, but then in execution it just didn't work.
It was the one that took too long.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, bees filled this person up and then start crawling out of their like cheeks.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, even talking about this, because I'm someone who just and Chris, you're kind of the same way, where you don't like hyper gory movies.
Sure.
All these things, even though they were that, because of the humor element, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, which I kind of like because
Yeah.
it reminds you that if you like this stuff, you like it. And like, you can find it funny, which
Yeah.
I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because it was so over the top, you know, it was like so ludicrous the way that, and because obviously that's not realistic. Like
Right.
if you dive into an electrified pool, you just get shocked.
Right.
And
Mhm.
your body wouldn't explode.
They're
You know, I
right.
mean, unless that AC unit was running like freaking, I don't know,
Yeah.
1,000 watts.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about electricity, so that could be nothing. But you know, like that's not how electricity works unless
Right.
it's ridiculous. But yeah,
Right.
but it was still fun.
Right. Either way, it's just, it was, I think that the movie was so self-aware, and that's a lot of what makes it work is the
Yeah.
self-awareness of the movie.
Yeah, because you do have these over the top characters like the realtor, who
Right.
is just this over the top,
Yeah.
like very on the nose, annoying small town realtor.
Right.
Right. It nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just kind of the beginning of the real ludicrousness, because then we get to, you know, the plane crashing and like Armageddon happening essentially in this small town. And also the cheerleaders. That was
Yeah.
way over the top.
Right.
They're like outside of the house where somebody just died. And they're like, yay. Like
Just
wh-
cheering
what-
for no
What
reason.
did that add to the movie? And
I don't know.
why
and
was
which
it
I
there?
still kind of liked. Like,
Right. Well, and that's where they're getting to like scary movie level of like, why is this happening? And
Right.
then in scary movies, be like, oh, because it's a parody.
right.
And they're all
Actually,
stupid.
the interesting thing here is for me watching this and some of these moments, as the movie went along, I was like, you know what? This is very Tim Burton. There was a lot of this that felt like Tim Burton-esque to me, especially when the realtor showed up. I wasn't sure if either of y'all even thought about that or picked up on it. But if you get the more like macabre, rated R, weird Tim Burton, and not the Tim Burton of late, it kind of felt like that to me. Like I could see Tim Burton making this movie. It's just that it didn't have quite his like whimsical vibe to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you took the whimsy out, it had some Burton-esque feels to it.
So it's kind of like the, what is it, the barber,
Right.
butcher, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd, yeah.
Yeah, some of those vibes, and just
Yeah.
there was some elements of Tim Burton where I was like, I could see him like being a producer on this movie at least,
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
with the just level of weirdness, and it just, this movie wore that on its sleeve, which I think is kind of what made it special.
Yeah. I guess. Quickly.
Yes.
Shout out
Yes.
Joan.
Joan.
Yes.
Lovelace. $2. No, I don't have a sister, Linda. Always a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So, and there's been jokes going on in the chat and stuff too. And once again, thanks everybody for joining in on the chat. But yeah, so I had so much fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and it wasn't a perfect movie, but at the same time, it's still just so much fun. And Jaja just hopped in to say, "Sup, bitches? What's up, buddy?
What's
Welcome."
up,
And just
Jaja?
notice we are in the spoiler section. So if you are planning on watching this, you might have came in too late. So just saying. But yeah, I just, everything about this was fun to me. Like I said, it wasn't perfect, but at the same time, with that kind of Criticless entertainment value scale, it's like I just had so much fun. I had such a good time laughing
Mhm.
that it worked. It absolutely worked for me. And when you get that much emotion out of me, whether it's an action film or a comedy or whatever, you're gonna rank pretty high.
Right. The entertainment chart on mine, or scale, is going to be at 100, even though I'm not going to rate the movie that high, but the entertainment value of it is perfect.
Right. Oh, and so El Capitan hopped in to say that I'm too young to get the joke, but clearly it's not just me. We're all too young to get the joke.
Linda Lovelace?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's like a porn star or something like that. Pretty sure.
Right.
Back in the day.
I'm guessing that was
think
the
that's what it is.
reference. Yeah, I'm guessing so. So yeah, El Capitan or Joan, you can correct us if Chris is wrong.
I could just be dumb.
Right. Or maybe just an actress, but I don't know.
Could be.
Maybe. Yeah, Chris is like, I think I watched some vintage porn one time.
There's actresses outside of porn. Hold on.
Those
Those
are the most skilled actresses I've ever seen.
for real.
I mean, and
The
if you
lore goes deep.
exactly. I mean, if Chris was
Well,
really going to
everything,
know
so that-
any human by name, it would be a porn star, of course. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yep. And the response was, "Oh my god!" from it. So
On
apparently,
8mm.
she was on 8mm. Yeah, so a
Mm.
classic film star, not a porn one. But hey,
The more you know.
well, yeah.
We'll just a little
Yeah,
rainbow there.
exactly. So it shows how wildly educated we are.
Right.
But like we
are
said,
heathens.
yeah, well, that's why we give the warning in the beginning. We're all just a bunch of
Yeah,
absolute
right.
idiots,
Yeah.
uncultured swines, if you will. So,
Peasants for sure.
but yeah, I think by and large that pretty much covers our the monkey review. Now, I will say, as far as if you want to hear our critical scores breakdown, we've kind of broken it down here. There's not a ton of language in this movie.
No, not really.
Maybe a bit more, but it wasn't like one of these hyper vulgar ones. Now, granted,
Yeah.
with violence, this is a ton, like maxed
Yeah.
out, straight up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
100%.
all the gore. There is a point in which someone gets trampled by horses inside of a sleeping bag,
Yeah.
to which the sleeping bag then got brought to the morgue, and they opened up the sleeping bag, and it was just like jawbones and mush.
Right.
So yeah, the gore is off the charts. Political bias, thank God, there's absolutely none.
Yep.
There was nothing political in this. Any nudity or sexual content, actually. I think that
there was like one scene where she was wearing a bra,
right.
but it was the monkey head.
Oh, right.
That
There was a
was-
strip. There was in a strip joint,
yeah,
but
yeah.
But
nothing
that
was really
it.
shown.
Nothing actually shown.
Right.
Yeah.
Family friendliness, absolutely not. But
No.
I think entertainment value from all of us,
Yeah, I'd probably say a lot.
at least a lot to a ton. So 2 a ton. So Matt's
Yeah,
outvoted. It
whatever.
is a ton. So, but yeah, so with the critical scale, just so you know what you're getting into, and I think between the 3 of us, at the very least, it's going to sit in a rad.
Yeah, I think so.
For
at,
sure.
at the very
Yeah.
least. So, and I mean, really, one thing that we did not touch on is that the whole crux of this film is that you find out that the twin brother has kind of orchestrated all of these events to start happening as adults. As kids, they got rid of the monkey so they didn't have to deal with it anymore. But then the brother, one of the other twin brother, realized that his brother was the reason that their mother died, and he set out to get vengeance against his brother. So he was constantly using the monkey to try and get it to attack his brother. But well, I say attack, like cause death. But the whole thing with the monkey is that it happens like it's the real world, which is that you can die at any moment, at any time, at any place. It can't be programmed or controlled. Just death happens.
Yeah.
Can I ask, did you all know how the aunt died?
Aunt or aunt? Which one?
Whichever one you want to call it.
Okay.
The
And-
one that deep throated the.
Yeah. So
Oh,
if,
the post.
if the twin,
I was like,
if
where
the-
are we going with
the
this? Who
twin
did
brother
what?
has the key right around
Mhm.
his neck because he
Uh-huh.
went into the thing. How did if nobody wound it, how did the monkey kill the aunt?
No, I think he had it. Oh, you're right. He didn't have it.
No.
Honestly, the monkey's magic.
Yeah,
I
we don't
think
need
it
to think
just.
too
I
much
think it just actually. I think it was like I'm tired of being in hiding, and just activated itself.
Right.
Is what I think, since it's a magic monkey.
Right.
Sure.
Oh, and by the way, we just got another super chat from Quackmire 13. What's up, bro?
Hey,
So
welcome.
he's here because of Bro Science. So welcome.
Oh.
Thank you for finding us and giving us the sub and all that stuff. And then just for the super chat, we really appreciate it. Thank you for your work on the app, Hall, and the 199. So
L the 199.
L the 199. Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
I don't know what that is, but
199.
thank you.
You don't know anything about the 199, man?
The Geeks and
Geeks and
Gamers.
Gamers, but
No.
we'll go into the lore later.
I don't know anything. Everybody knows. this,
Literally
right?
knows
Like,
nothing.
I-
Yeah. That's the whole Chris thing, is that he knows nothing. So, but yeah, buddy, thanks Quagmire for hopping in, and glad you found us. And yeah, you came in at the spoilers section, but yeah, we've been talking about the monkey, if you want to know more, and some news and other things for the people kind of just hopping in later on into this chat. Also, Joan Lovelace did hop in and say that she's Deep Throat. She's famous for sorry, but I've lived with name and always get the reaction. Sorry,
Oh.
guys, you are young.
See,
Makes sense.
Yep, we're babies.
Yeah.
but was I right though?
Right.
Which is
So-
funny because there was some deep throating action.
In
It
this
just
film,
happened to be
it was a mailbox post.
a mail. No,
It was a
a
for
for sale
sale
sign.
sign.
Oh, for sale sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one of the many kills, is that a woman first gets fishing hooks in her face, and as she's getting the fishing hooks out of her face,
She
then
sets it on fire.
she goes to look over the stove,
She
turns
smells
Ah.
gas.
yes, she smells gas, and the stove
Yeah.
doesn't light. And then it lights on her face, and her head catches on fire, and she runs outside with her head on fire, trips and falls on a bucket, and deep throats a for sale sign to death.
Is a natural way to die.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like we said,
Yeah.
very Final Destination.
Funny enough, that is because
Yeah.
Zena and I just watched, I think, the first 2 or 3 Final Destinations, and that's almost like a carbon copy of one in, I think, the second movie.
With what we just talked about, with the like.
With the lighting of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very similar to one.
Wow.
Not
Yeah.
the whole deep throating or for sale
Oh,
sign at the end of the
fishing hooks.
but
The
the
fire.
gas thing. Yeah.
I think I remember that. I used to
Yeah.
like those movies. Which and guys,
Exactly.
we
this-
are in a couple months getting
Yeah.
a new Final Destination film.
Really?
The first one in years.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
We're getting a new one. So I'm kind of excited for it because those set up a whole new level of fear for all of us.
Yeah.
Mostly with the logs, the log
truck, for
trucks.
sure.
That one's burned into all of our brains. So yeah, I'm honestly fairly excited
Oh,
about that.
Quagmire dropped another $5.
Oh, heck yeah.
And said, glad I found you too, man. The 199 is a typo that was trolled in a meme. Continue, guys. I'm gonna start the video over. Cheers.
Cheers,
Going
buddy.
to get here, man.
Thanks for hopping in.
Yeah. Thanks for filling me in on the.
It was a
199.
typo.
Yeah.
Someone came into a super chat actually to talk shit to geeks and gamers
Mhm.
and basically typoed, and it became a forever meme to where now they've embraced it and it's literally part of their entire brand.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, that's what happens when you do a typo in a super chat, which I recently did as well.
Ooh.
While I was shit talking on top of all things, I was talking trash to Drunk 3PO for forgetting that he was hanging out with me for hours and said he was alone. But you know that happened. You know,
Easy to do.
Sometimes
hurts.
I'm just it hurts deep. It cuts real deep in my soul. But and then I spelled my own name wrong. So
It happens. Yeah.
it happens to the best of us. So yeah, but you know, as it goes. But yeah, I highly recommend going to see The Monkey. I think this movie's an absolute blast. It's ridiculous and over the top and fun. Whether it hits streaming, you know, it might not be movie of the year for people, but at the very least, you're gonna get a laugh out of the absolute stupid absurdity of it.
Yeah.
Just know that it wears its weirdness on its sleeve.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
but I think that is it for our review of The Monkey. But we are not going to bail just quite yet, because a thing that we do here on Criticless Cast is we give you guys send-off songs. We are all big music fans, and we send you all off with a song. So, guys, do you have your send-off songs picked? Because I, per
Yarp.
usual, do not.
Oh, back over the reins.
But you did. So
Yeah, I do.
last week you came in right at the
I
end when I was
did.
reading my song name, which was extraordinarily vulgar.
Yeah, something about hog something.
Yeah,
Hog-
cranking it.
Cranking hogs.
Cranking
Yeah.
hogs. Yeah. So that's a great time to come in on this show, is me talking about cranking hogs. So, you know,
And I did.
there's that. But so, Chris, what is your song of the week?
My song is by Baby Nova, and it is
Ooh.
called "Killed for Sport."
Killed for
Nice.
sport.
Killed for Sport. Yeah,
Killed.
and it's chick singers. It reminds me of like Lana Del Rey, but
Okay.
a
Okay.
little more indie, like an indie Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
but it's good.
And so it's Killed. What was it?
Killed for
Killed for Sport. And we do have a send-off song playlist on
Yep.
our YouTube channel. So make sure to go check that out. And we basically, all the songs that we recommend each week end up landing on there because Matt is a saint and he puts them on there for us. So
I do.
he's not really a saint.
Not a saint. Not a saint at all. It's far from.
So
No
Matt,
sainthood.
what is your send-off song?
Sure. So mine is a song called Sim, S-Y-M.
Okay.
By Never Tell.
Nice.
And it's new metal, and it kind of starts off
Okay.
kind of hip hoppy, but then like picks up into like more of like a metal song.
Nice.
Okay.
And so it's like this nice sounding song, and then all of a sudden you get into a nice little metal.
Okay.
So
Sick.
Yeah.
I was tossing around what I was going to do, but I think I've landed. I've recommended multiple songs by him over the years, back when we were Critically Aroused, and now we are Criticless Cast, obviously. But I'm going to do another song by. I've heard people say his name multiple ways, but I say Joe, but it's DJO. It's Joe Keery from Stranger Things. He plays Steve.
Oh
Here he-
yeah.
So, anyways, he's still making music, and he has a new song out, and this song is called "Basic Being Basic." So the song is really good. It's very catchy. It's very kind of 80s reminiscent, like a lot of his stuff is. It's
Mhm.
very good. So Basic Being Basic by Joe, DJO, Joe. I don't even know. No one knows how to say it. I don't even know if he says it in public, just so no one knows how to say it.
Like, has he said it aloud?
He probably
himself?
has. I
Okay.
don't know. But
The J's silent. It's just
right.
do.
Well, that's why I've wondered if the D is silent and it's
Hmm.
Joe.
The D's never silent. Blaine. You should know that.
Depends on whose D we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? You got one of them stealth D's or one of the loud ones, stealth. You know.
Oh, I think
Quiet.
it's self.
You got a self D? Yeah,
Self and D down there?
self Ds. That's what we should call dick pics
Yeah.
from now on. They're self
the
Ds.
self D's. That's
Just
great.
taking a good old self D, you know. So,
Starting a new trend.
yep, the self D.
Every woman will not thank you for that.
Yeah, they will not.
Yeah.
So, but we're calling it that from now on. It's the old selfie. So, yeah, that's your send-off songs for the week, guys. And for folks that are just finding our channel, welcome. Glad you found us. I hope we weren't too wildly insulting or stupid. We're probably both. But next week, we have been tossing around what to review. And so we have a series that we've been doing for a while now, which is called Critic Hated, Audience Loved, or Audience Loved, Critic Hated, depending on which approach we take. But basically just things that were panned from the critics. And basically we might do one of those next week because there's only one movie that's coming out that we've not heard anything about and might not do much.
Yeah,
it's starring Bill Murray and a few other folks, but it just I don't know, it's not jumping out on the radar.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So we might go into Criticless Cast, follow us in the app, and go into that group and give us some recommendations for our criticated type of movies. We try to find ones that are easy for you guys to watch so that it will be more approachable for people to check out the episode. But
yeah, and like Blaine was saying, like he's got the 2 lists on his page, and you can come on our Criticless Cast group and just let us know if there's something. And we try to, like Blaine said, like we try to keep it streaming for everybody. Like we did a walk to remember.
Yeah.
A couple
which
weeks,
was
like a month ago.
shockingly well received. People and I think it's fun to do these every once in a while also, just because it's more approachable than the movie of the week that's coming out, and so we can grab some people who might not want to go to the theater, that sort of thing. So we will probably do one of those, I would guess, which is totally fine with me, and it'll keep us at home, and we can also do the stream a lot earlier than this one, so
yeah,
instead of doing it so late. So, and maybe we'll drag Chris out of his house and get him back next week, so sick. So anyways, guys, this has been great. It's been a really fun time. Thanks for all the super chats and just the chats in general. This was fun as always, and we will be back next week. And just look out for me and Criticless Cast as far as where I'm streaming and popping up. I'm kind of all over the place all the time. There's really no way to pin down where I'm popping on next. So I've been saying a lot of weird shit on streams lately. I won't even say some of the things that I got caught saying completely accidentally. So, as it goes, I Freudian slip on a regular basis. So, anyways, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And we will be back soon. Everybody take it easy. Later,
guys.
No, peace.